Hello, and welcome to episode 55 of The Jared White Show. Or is it? You will soon find out, because there is big news afoot. Big news. But first, a little disclaimer. This is the first recording I have done for The Jared White Show since April. That's right. There has been a long gap. Much too long. So that's why this episode is sort of a reboot. We're rebooting the show. We're starting it over with a new name, in fact, a new concept. A little background, though, before we get into that. For many of us, for most of us, perhaps for all of us, this year has been just one thing after another. It has just been bananas. But even recording this show, even recording this video has been problematic because I recorded an entire episode, tried to drag the MP4 file into my iPad's file system, and I don't know what happened, but it got totally corrupted. Video file gone. I don't know if it's iPad OS 14. I don't know if it was because I was running out of disk space on my iPad. I had to go clean out some stuff. Whatever it is, I'm having to do it over again. So this isn't even the virgin recording of this episode. This is a redo. That's the kind of year we're having. It's just nothing works like you expect. But here we are, and so basically, here in the Portland area, we're just coming off of a horrendous wildfire situation, and thankfully, I'm okay. I don't immediately know anyone that was affected, but it's been really bad for a lot of people. And one of the side products of that has been just the most terrible air quality you could imagine. It was horrendous up here in Oregon. Portland was like right up at the top of list of global cities that have the worst air quality. I mean, it was just so bad. But right smack dab in the middle of that, I decided to go on a retreat. I booked an Airbnb. And I got out of the house. I got out of the office here, change of pace, and basically promised myself that I would lock myself into this retreat and not emerge until I came up with a new business strategy and a new content strategy. So that's what I did. And so this show is changing because of that. I have a new strategy. And it's not just this show, but it's a new strategy for my business, White Fusion. Now, I haven't talked about White Fusion too much on the Jared White Show to date, which is a little odd because the work I do as White Fusion is building websites and web software. Clients hire me to build things, and then for some reason they pay me afterwards. Yeah, I know, right? I build some things and then they hand me money. Very interesting. So I do that, and then meanwhile I've been doing content creation. I'm doing air quotes here for those of you listening in audio form. I've been doing content creation as just myself, Jared White. And the two worlds haven't really had any commingling, if you will, for the most part. So White Fusion's been over here doing its thing, and the Jared White Show's been over there doing its thing, along with YouTube or Instagram or whatever. So one of my goals for the retreat was to find a way to kind of bring these worlds together a little bit more, and dare I say, increase synergy. There's that word. I can't believe I said it. Increase synergy between these two worlds. Pretty soon I'm going to be using words like alignment and start using ask as a noun. If you ever hear me tell you to send your asks to me, you know that I've really jumped the shark. Anyway, so I went to this retreat. came back with a new strategy. And so part of that strategy is to reboot the show, and it's going to have a new name. It's going to have a sort of refreshed focus all around the business, the art of content creation. And, well, I guess I'll just get to it. So here's the new name. It's going to change to, drum roll please, Fresh Fusion. That's right. The podcast is now called Fresh Fusion with Jared White. And it's going to be part of the White Fusion family of brands, if you will. Not really going to change much, to be honest. It's still going to be hosted on my site, jaredwhite.com. The feed's not going to change. You don't have to go subscribe to anything new. A lot of the topics we've talked about in the past here on the show will continue to be part of the show. But I really wanted to kind of pare down a little bit and focus specifically on, try not to hit the mic there. Try to focus specifically on, what it means to be a content creator. There's a lot of people out there that are putting out content. Everyone's tweeting, everyone's, putting up some video of some kind or doing something, right? That's the era we live in now. There's not much else you can do. But I think, there's a certain mindset you have to have sort of in a professional sense to really call yourself a content creator and to have that commitment to quality, to consistency. And it's funny, I'm one to talk about consistency, right? This is the first episode since April. But, part of the reason I didn't record another episode since April is because I sort of had this feeling like I didn't want to continue to do the show unless I had such a clear vision about, what it should be and what it should become and how it can grow. I didn't just want to, get to the point where I'm sort of half-heartedly putting out an episode here and there and skipping weeks and just kind of wondering what I'm doing. So, really the strategy here for Fresh Fusion is it's going to be a weekly show. It's going to have a specific focus. Each week's going to kind of build on the next. So, if you skip a week, you're probably going to miss out on some pretty interesting stuff. Future shows will reference past shows. It's really going to be this sort of collection of this growing body of useful content going forward. And with luck, we'll bring in some guests now and then and do some more interviews. That'll be really fun. And also, in addition to just generally providing useful resources for creators, I also want to talk a little bit about the kind of things people sort of want to shy away from in this industry. And that's all the sort of shady, somewhat unethical things that can go on, whether that's around promotions or whether that's, things that are going on with social media platforms in general. I've always been a proponent of privacy first and supporting the open web and all of these different things. But it's not just tech companies being nefarious or whatever. We as creators can get caught up in some shady stuff too. Something that particularly bothers me, and I'll talk more about this in future episodes, is when you get sucked into watching a YouTube video and it's about some kind of general, lifestyle thing or recommendation around some approach or some product or whatever. And you think it's genuine. You think it's just somebody legitimately saying like, here's what I do, or here's how I work, or whatever. And then you finally realize it's an ad for something. It's like if I, record a show about how, I'm getting into working out again, and I've been getting up early in the morning to work out, and blah, blah, blah. And you think I'm just like being honest with you, and all of a sudden I'm like, and I got these awesome new weights, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out like, and you can get these weights too. Here's my discount code. And you're like, oh man, this isn't just Jared talking about his day. This is an ad for some weights. That kind of stuff just really bothers me. Like I appreciate particularly podcasts where it's a little bit more of a tradition where, you have the show and then it's boop, boop, here's the segment for the ad. And, even if it's the podcaster reading the ad, it's very clear. It's like, this show is sponsored by, so-and-so company, blah, 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 for a minute or two. End ad. Like, that's cool. That's totally cool. In fact, maybe I'll have some kind of sponsorship ad thing here for this podcast someday. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But, the kind of thing where it's just like woven in subtly into the narrative is terrible. Anyway, I'm already going on too much about that. Fodder for future episodes. So, yes, the show's changing a little bit. It's not going to be the Jared White Show anymore. It's going to have a new name, Fresh Fusion, and it's going to be a little bit more integrated with the work I do at White Fusion. Now, White Fusion is going to go through a whole bunch of changes as well. More on that later. But essentially, to date, all that White Fusion has been me just providing a service to clients. I haven't done ebooks. I haven't done courses. I haven't done productized consulting or insert fancy buzzword here. I haven't done any of that stuff, but some of that's going to change going forward. So you'll hear a little bit more about that. White Fusion, in a sense, is going to be a sponsor of this show. So you'll sometimes hear me make a reference to what's going on with White Fusion. But it's not gonna become this thing where in order for this show to be relevant to you, you have to feel obligated to do something with White Fusion or buy something or anything like that. It's not that at all. That's not what this is. All I'm trying to do is create some synergy, woohoo, between what I do as a content creator and my business, which is how I actually survive and keep the lights on and eat and so forth. Got to make a living somehow, right? So I hope you stick around. I hope you continue to be a Fresh Fusion listener or watcher, as the case may be. That's another thing I want to make mention real quick. This is going to be a video show going forward, as well as an audio show. So in addition to the podcast, which of course you can subscribe to in any podcast player, this will also be on YouTube with video. So it's one of those things that I was thinking about for a while. What can I do with video that doesn't require me, traveling around a lot, because, it's hard to do traveling these days. So what can I do with my YouTube channel? And I'm seeing so many creators now putting up these sort of podcast style videos online. And in the past, I would have thought that was just boring. Like, oh, it's so boring to just see somebody talk for 20, 30 minutes or whatever. But everybody's doing it now, and everyone's on Zoom, and everyone's video. It's just taken over everything. So I figured, if I'm gonna record a podcast and take the time to do that anyway, why not make it a video, edit it in the video editor, and then I can, get both channels going at once. So all that to say, whether you listen to this in a podcast player or you watch it on YouTube or Vimeo, if you prefer to stay off of YouTube, that's totally fine. I'll put it there as well. You can get all of that at jaredwhite.com. Jaredwhite.com will provide links to all those things. But I hope you become a listener, or you stick around if you've been one for a while. And I look forward to the next few weeks here as we get the ball rolling, as we rebrand, as we refresh everything for this new era of the show. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.